This is Utterly Nonsense, and yes, we'll be talking about Crisis again this week, since it pretty much is to superheroes on television, as Avengers Infinity War and Endgame were to superheroes on film. And there is a bunch to get into with that, so that's what we'll be doing. So hopefully you're interested in that topic. If not, we'll see you next time. Things I'd like to plug, we are sponsored by ourselves. We do this for free, we do it because we like you, we do it because we like the topics that we talk about. So if you haven't yet, check out our YouTube channel. Clips from the podcasts are posted during the week, directly following the posting of a full podcast episode on all podcasting platforms. So go subscribe there, subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or whichever is your preferred platform, and leave a comment, leave a review. We read those, we like them, they help us keep going and stay motivated. I'm done advertising. Now let's get into it. This is Utterly Nonsense, and as you know, Crisis Parts 1 through 3 are out, and we haven't talked about them yet, so that's what we're going to do now. I believe I already said that in the intro that I pre-recorded ahead of time, so you already know what you're getting into.
Oh yeah, you are. You definitely all are knowing what you're getting into.
And if you haven't heard our last podcast on the issue, which came out right before Crisis started this past, I guess it's been over a week at this point.
Probably.
Well, anyway, it's the last podcast on our podcast page, wherever you're listening to them. You can find it there. So check that out, because we're probably going to be referencing that a little bit and talking about our theories and predictions for the rest of this thing. So, yeah, might help to know.
And kids, if you're watching this, there will be spoilers. Deal with it. It's our show.
That's probably a given, yeah.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen the episodes yet, go and do that. It's on their website. It even has its own little page section for it, just like all the shows.
Watch them before you watch this. Yeah, absolutely.
Or if you don't care about spoilers and you just want to know everything before going into it, more power to you.
Alright, well, yeah, I'll be the first to spoil. Oliver Queen dies, so screw you.
Okay. Well, not for real.
We all know that. We know.
Okay, so how do you want to start this?
All right, well, I wrote up this whole list of notes and shit, and I split it up into the 3 parts. Well, I have 3 sections, and each section is divided into 3 parts. I have likes, things that stood out to me that I liked, dislikes, things that stood out that I disliked, and then the longest section is definitely references, which contains all of the Easter eggs, all of the different, little nods to this and that from each of the parts, and a little elaboration on each if it was necessary.
AKA fan service!
Right, because this whole thing seemed like fan service.
No duh.
I will say this, just going out there, I'm going to say it was no Avengers Endgame or Infinity War.
It's nowhere near close.
Well, I mean, that's sort of a given. I mean, it has a much smaller budget. It has nowhere near the sort of staying power or longevity that the Avengers franchise has had to this point.
Well, let's be real. How long have these shows been out in comparison to when the first Avengers movie came out in general? So obviously
they came out the same year, actually.
Say what?
What, Arrow and the Avengers?
Correct. They're both 2012.
Okay.
Well, never mind. I will shut up.
Well,
now.
Iron Man, which is the official start of the MCU, came out in 2008. And
Right.
arguably
True.
that is... you could make the argument that Endgame is sort of the end of Tony Stark's arc. Obviously, he dies in Endgame. But,
still not over it.
there's also the whole I am Iron Man moment, which is referenced, obviously is a reference to the original Iron Man in 2008.
My turn.
So there's a lot of staying power there. There's been world building there from the very beginning, just as Arrowverse has had, world building from the beginning of Arrow and in every other franchise, really, that's sort of seen in this crossover. But
I'd probably say season 2 is where they started the whole broader world building thing, because that's when they first introduced Barry Allen.
Yeah, didn't they also? That's when they introduced Deathstroke and just other characters that exist within that Earth, I guess, in general, because
Well, Slade Wilson was there from the very beginning in the flashbacks, and they'd been hinting at all these different Batman villains and such. They were making references to comics from the start, but yeah, no, from the like broader world of it that came into play later on. And superpowers weren't introduced really until, I guess, season 2-ish with the whole Mirakuru thing.
Yeah, the Mirakuru.
That was like the first time.
I'm like in my head, I'm like Mirakuru. What?
You think that's Bane Venom? No, it can't.
It can't be.
But it's similar, right?
It's not Bane Venom. It can't be.
No, it's sort of like a similar thing, though.
It had potential to be the same thing. Honestly, I think it was interchangeable, just because like royalties. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. So what do we want to do first? Do we kind of want to discuss our thoughts and review this and go on likes and dislikes, or do we want to jump into the whole references list, or do we want to take it part by part?
It's up to you. How do you want to start this?
I mean, you're the one that mapped it out, basically, so...
I guess we'll go by part then. We'll start with part 1. So, what do we like about part 1? What do we not like? The first thing I have listed, which is, I guess I'll go into the how it draws inspiration or direct details from the comics. There were details that were maintained almost exactly, like how we see in part 1 when these big golden pillars rise from the various parts of the world. That, as I said in the last episode, that was a major thing in the comics where I guess they were supposed to do the same thing, hold back the whole wave of antimatter. And but those just kind of pop up. They're not really talked about in the episode itself. They're just there, and they're like, oh yeah, that holds back the wave, and I guess we got to defend one of them from the shadow minions, which also
I was just
appearance.
Like, what are these things even? I was like, why are they a thing?
Yeah, apparently the mission that the Monitor was sending Oliver on to get all these different things throughout all of Arrow Season 8 was, I guess in some part, instrumental in the construction of those with the whole Dwarf Star alloy and whatever.
I mean, I guess that makes the most sense. I guess that's why Ray Palmer's there.
Yeah, basically they just had an excuse for him to run around through different locations of his past and get stuff so they can say, oh yeah, that's where these things came from.
The last thing was just like, Leah and you. Oh no, I'm back where I started. Yeah,
every time that someone says Leah and you, someone has to say, it's Mandarin for purgatory. It's Mandarin for purgatory. Yes, we get it! We know. We knew it since season 1, people.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really watch Arrow, so it was sort of a nice Easter egg for me. Or I wouldn't even really call that an Easter egg. I wouldn't have known that, though. I mean, you could sort of get what they were going for, even if they didn't spell out the fact that it is purgatory. But
literally, as they made it very apparent in part 3, part 2. Right?
I think it was part 3. I'm pretty sure it was part 3.
Part 3. Okay.
Actually, there, yeah.
It's the island from Lost, which everybody thought was purgatory. That was the big fan theory that they're all actually dead and it's just purgatory, which wasn't exactly wrong.
I mean,
in a certain way.
It does draw attention. I'm like, okay, I'm listening.
Yeah. I don't know. I never really got too far with Lost.
Never seen a single episode.
Lindelof sort of... I think Damon Lindelof has sort of outshined himself now with Watchmen. So
yeah. So that's all I had for likes for part 1. That's all I wrote down. And we're not going to go through and summarize all the parts because you can just watch it. I do have a bunch of dislikes though, if nobody else has anything to say.
Well, I will say some of the cameos in part 1 were pretty fantastic.
I enjoyed the cameos very much. Yes.
Burt Ward made me smile.
Oh, that made me very happy. I was like, oh, that's adorable.
Holy crimson skies of death! He sounds just like he did in the show.
Exactly.
How does he do that?
Dude, it's probably just his voice at this rate.
Yeah. Yeah. God, he looks so different.
Well, he called this thing called aging.
Yeah. Also, this thing called eating.
Yeah, he didn't skip breakfast.
Yeah, no, he did really gain a lot of weight, didn't he?
Well, he's old. Who cares?
Yeah. I mean, at that point, if you can actually maintain that level of weight, that's impressive in its own right.
Oh, yeah. That's all right, Barnacle Boy, chill.
But,
that's Barnacle Man!
Yeah, so, the other thing that was really sort of I loved what they did with Earth 9, confirming that Titans does take place in this same multiverse.
Even though, oh dear God, that last season was terrible.
I have mixed feelings. And I have mixed feelings about
I loved the beginning of it. I was very into it the first, 3 episodes, and then I was just like, God, this is going to be stupid.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I will say I do like the second season much more than the first. I think it actually ended a lot more seamlessly, even despite the obvious reason why the last episode was sort of controversial.
Just no plot that they set up went anywhere. It was just a mess. Everything went every which way and didn't come back into play.
Well, I mean, Jericho they introduced for a clear reason. It's weird that they did wait until the last episode of the season to introduce Nightwing, but I don't know. I think it was
Season 1 was setting up Nightwing. Why did we have to go through a whole... Like, if the whole thing was like a reboot of the show when that wasn't necessary, and why are they building up all of these characters who aren't the actual Titans team the show's supposed to focus on?
You gotta realize, Garfield, you just made him, like, literally super lame. I get it. But, like, I mean, because, like, of how his personality is, everybody knows that. Yeah, he's a vegan. He doesn't harm animals or other people. But... He turns more into just a friggin' tiger.
Well, I mean, you got to keep in mind... Well, first of all, he turned into a snake in the Season 2 premiere, so it's not like he can just turn into a tiger. He does have some psychological barriers that are keeping him from transforming into other creatures.
Yeah, which they were supposed to remove at Cadmus, and then he's just like, nope, tiger, nope, I'm gonna eat people again. Nope, I have no story arc.
I am tiger, only I am my control gar.
God, what they just butchered everything. But thankfully that Earth is obliterated. Thank God.
I can be happy that Earth is dead.
I'd be shocked if it wasn't
did you notice
renewed for a new season? Yeah.
Did you notice when they actually show Jason Todd and what's his name? Hawkman, yeah. Oh no, not
just
Hawk. That a white light appeared.
I actually didn't notice that in the...
no, I didn't. They're dead.
Yeah, a bright white appeared that usually appears as soon as Harbinger shows up. So I'm thinking she took them somewhere.
Yeah.
If that was actually meant to mean anything, or it wasn't just like an editing mistake because it was stock footage, clearly.
Yeah.
It was unused scenes of them. But yeah. All right, I guess I'll go on to dislikes of part 1. I thought that it kind of rushed certain elements too quickly. Like I said, the allusion to the big pillars and the shadow monsters, they're just kind of there. They pop up out of nowhere.
I was like, there was no build up to that at all.
Yeah. When they're fighting all the things inside, I guess they're inside the pillar or inside of a building that the pillar took over or something. I don't know. Superman, Supergirl, and Flash show up and they're like, "Hey, need any help, guys?" And then it cuts to commercial. And when it cuts back, they're just like finished. I'm like, wait a minute, I wanted to see that.
Yeah.
I want to see that. Where'd it go?
I was like, why is DC literally cutting out all the actual stuff that's, interesting and actually has some action in it that has maybe a smidgen of tension?
Budget.
Yeah, it's what it comes down to. I just don't think they could have afforded to animate the whole thing.
I mean, yeah, I get that, but like, geez, what are they spending the budget on? My God, people, come on.
Tom Welling.
For all 5 minutes.
Dear Lord.
Yeah, for all the 5 minutes he was in.
Yeah. I will say, them killing off Oliver was not necessarily shocking, but it was like, he's going to come back. He's not going to stay
he
dead.
is alive again, because technically, after being put in the
he's becoming the Spectre.
His body is alive, his soul, I don't know, friggin'. That's always just so stupid to me.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll get into that since that's, I think, part 3, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of my dislikes about his death. It's another thing where it shows he's about to run into the whole army of shadow monsters, which why would they even pay any attention to him at that point? Well, instead of just doing what they were going to do.
Probably because they killed 5 of his friends.
I don't know, but it cuts to commercial. And then it comes back, and he's just, oh, God, I'm dying now.
He fought till his last
Why
breath.
didn't we... So you're going to tell me...
I don't get that.
The major character of this whole universe's death is off-screen?
Exactly.
His last fight is off-screen? Why?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's going to come back. We know he's going to come back. They obviously alluded to that in part 3.
Yeah, as Spectre, who was also part of the whole comics thing. Spectre ended up uniting the heroes, I think, after Psycho Pirate drives them all mad, which we didn't see Psycho Pirate at all.
Pirate?
Where is he? He's the guy with the gold
just
mask.
Talked about this in the last episode, Jack.
I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, of course. I told you to go re-listen to it. It has all the information you need.
I've been busy, yo. All right.
Yeah. What else I didn't like? Brainiac 5. Why is he such a freaking goofball? Why does he talk weird?
Why is he actually useful?
To be fair, that's more of a critique of Supergirl than this crossover specifically.
It's impossible, stupendous, ridiculous, and what the hell are you
I actually
saying?
really
Shut
like
your
the
mouth.
portrayal. I
Hey,
think,
Brock.
what's the guy's name? Jesse Rath?
I have no idea what his
I don't
name
know.
is.
Interesting guy.
He's a good character, I'll say that.
Too goofy, way out of place, ridiculous.
It works in the context of Supergirl, but
Yeah, that's why I say Supergirl, like, when people criticize, I guess, I don't know if I explained this, so if we would actually did it in the podcast or we were talking after it, but I said certain people criticize Batwoman saying, it's like the acting is so bad, the stunt choreography is bad, and I said, no, it's actually like the same as all the other shows, except Supergirl. That's the one where like the tone is completely different than the other shows. It's just so goofy, so out there.
yeah.
And I don't know why they do that.
I don't know, it's a separate universe from the main Arrowverse, so maybe they're just thinking that they can get away with it by doing that. Maybe it's because they know that the character is meant to be more lighthearted, so I don't know. It did also start on CBS.
I mean, Supergirl is supposed to just be the happy-go-lucky cousin of Superman, because technically, if we want to be timeline correct, she is officially, like, younger than him. Like, if we want to talk about timeline-wise.
Biologically, not chronologically.
Yeah, biologically younger because she was in the wormhole space pod for, I don't know how long.
But yeah, I mean, she was obviously born before this version of Clark Kent.
Yes, everybody knows that.
Yeah.
So, speaking of things Supergirl related that I didn't like about part one.
I was going to say, sorry, but I didn't mean to cut you off or anything, but
oh, go ahead.
It is worth mentioning that Supergirl did start out on CBS. I doubt they were initially intending to bring it into the Arrowverse. I shouldn't say I doubt to. I knew they were probably going to bring it in eventually, but the audience is different on CBS from CW. It's weird that it wasn't flip-flop, but that's one explanation for why they might have gone in a goofier direction. They knew they were hitting a different audience with it, and they knew that a different audience might actually watch it on this network.
I mean,
who knows? Doesn't CBS have partial ownership in CW though?
Yeah, but it's still a different channel.
Yeah, it's completely different.
There has to be
network.
some reason for airing it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I was gonna say another thing Supergirl related that pissed me off about the episode when her sister is talking to Lena Luthor.
Oh boy.
And they're figuring out how to build the whatever, and they just spit out all this bullshit techno babble. It's like, stop! Oh my god, I'm getting memories of Star Trek Discovery, like when they're like, math is cool, science rocks. You got that right, Ensign.
Well, is it really an Arrowverse show if someone isn't science babbling?
Well, let's be real. It was either those two or Felicity and Ray. You're picking the poison.
I'd rather just Ray.
Yeah.
I think we are. Speaking of Brandon J. Ruth.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Well, I'm saving that, kids. Yeah.
Last dislike I had for part one. Okay, so Nash, as we know, Nash Welds becomes this pariah guy. And the whole time he was looking for this, what he thought was the Monitor's hideout, but it turned out to be the Anti-Monitor's hideout, which freed the Anti-Monitor, which I also don't kind of understand how he was trapped there, if he was manipulating all this. But so if he was going, this whole time, his mission, in all of this first half of Flash, his mission was to free the Anti-Monitor, and the Monitor's job is to monitor the events of that universe, then why didn't he just warn everybody, hey, don't let him get to that subway or else some bad stuff is going to happen?
It's sort of like lazy writing is why that happened.
Not to draw another Infinity War illusion, but it's like Doctor Strange seeing every possible future and there only being one possibility. You just have to trust that this character, who's obviously omniscient, it knows what they're doing and it's all part of their plan, which is really dumb writing, but it's like it's been used in fiction since the beginning of time.
I really don't think this guy's omniscient.
Yeah, I think he does have a higher level of awareness. He does have some level of precognition that he's able to see all of these events as they unfold.
I mean, I guess, sort of,
but not able to change them somehow.
It is obviously limited to some extent, though. Like, I mean, the fact that he didn't see Oliver dying exactly that way, the fact that he saw Barry Allen, our Barry Allen, die.
Yeah. All right, so that's all I had for dislike. We'll go right to references. First reference we see right at the beginning of the episode, We see Batman 80, or we see Earth 89, which is clearly supposed to be the Batman world from 1989. You see the, I guess, reporter or camera guy for Vicky Vale. I don't really remember his character, but he was Knox. And he's sitting there with the newspaper, and you see, like, Keaton's Batman drawn on it. Now, here's the weird thing. It says Batman captures Joker, but how could it be captures when he kills Joker at the end of the movie?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean...
Unless it's, like, another Joker that cropped up in that world later on.
That
it
sounds
could be.
about
It could be a
likely.
plot hole. It could be an alternate version of the Keaton universe.
Also,
who knows?
the logo in the sky was Batwoman's logo and not the Keaton logo. What up with that?
Uh-oh.
Did they not get the rights to the logo?
Probably not.
It's
think
all
they-
Warner Brothers. How do you not get the rights to a logo?
Yeah, no. I mean, they have access to all those rights, so maybe it's a hint that
They got the
Batwoman
Danny
is now the
Elfman
dominant.
music.
Well,
Yeah.
she is
Which
supposed
was
to
really
be the,
cool.
quote, Bat of the future.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, we'll get to
And
that when we talk part 2.
That's what the other omniscient guy supposedly said. I don't know.
Yeah. Then we see Earth 9, like we said, was Titans.
Yeah.
We already talked about that. We see Earth X, which was from like 2 crossovers ago. You see the Ray.
Yeah, when it was them versus Nazi versions of themselves.
Yeah, we see Earth 66, and you hear "Bup, bup, 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 bup," aided by his young ward. I mean, old man ward. All right.
It's just such a shame that Adam West isn't still around for this. Like, could you
Yeah.
imagine seeing him and Burt Ward reunited after all this time?
Oh my
That
god,
would
I
have
would
been
have
great. Just see them, the two of them running with like in front of a green screen.
I feel
running
like
in
he would have
place.
done it too. That's like the really tragic part. Like
Yeah.
Adam, this would totally be in Adam West's wheelhouse.
No,
you
you
know?
totally would have
He would
done
have
it. Yeah.
done it for a sack of potatoes.
Yeah. Other thing I noticed in when the episode actually starts, the guy yelling out, he's like the doomsday guy screaming out, "Every world doomed!" That was Will Wheaton, who
Right,
some
yeah.
people might know was Shut Up Wesley from Star Trek: The Next
Or
Generation.
himself on The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah. So I don't know what he was doing there. We see it skips to Star City where you see Sarah Lance
Yep.
and Ray, and you see Arthur from the Tick.
I actually
From the
didn't
Tick
see
series.
that.
Yeah, that I didn't pick up on.
What was he doing there?
It's
It's just the actor, but it's Arthur.
So it might have just been like the actor wanted to be on the role. I'm assuming he's a fan of the franchise. They probably just put him in. I don't even know if it was necessarily meant to be his character from the Tick.
Is the Tick technically canon in DC? Canon?
I think
He
it is a
now.
DC imprint,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Is
he's
he?
not. I don't think so.
I have no idea what the Tick is even from, honestly.
I
It
mean,
started
the
with
Tick's always
comics.
been its own thing. Yeah.
It did start with comics, but I do not know the label he was under.
Huh.
Pulling it up quickly, but
I mean,
Yeah.
Shazam did come from MF Enterprises first, so I guess.
Yeah. So the last different Earth we see was Earth 16, which is apparently the Earth of that one Legends episode where they go in the future and see the old Oliver with the bionic arm.
Yeah, I was like,
Why doesn't he remember Sarah?
because that Sarah died immediately after the Gambit.
No. But why doesn't he remember that episode of Legends? Because I'm pretty sure they were all there. All the Legends were there, and they,
Was she there?
they interacted with that old Oliver.
I don't remember, honestly. Like, wait,
I don't know.
I'm blanking hard. Yeah,
I mean, I vaguely remember.
They might have screwed the pooch on that if I go back and that is actually like they acknowledge each other.
She was definitely there. She definitely interacted with him. And that was when we saw, Connor Hawk.
Yeah,
as the
yeah,
new
it was
Green Arrow.
John Diggle Jr.
Yeah, well, was it? Yeah, it was supposed to be. That
it
was such
was
a weird thing. Like it was
It was Diggle's kid.
John Diggle's son, and his name was John Diggle Jr. But
No, call me Connor Hawk.
right.
Because
And
because I think he said
he's
he
not-
couldn't save his dad or some crap. I don't know.
Yeah, and now he's not Diggle's son. He's Bronze Tiger's son. Oh, my head.
Oh, okay. Barry, what did you do?
Yeah, that could be the reason.
Oh.
Or no, they said it was an alternate Earth though. Now they retconned it, said it was an alternate Earth. So whatever.
Oh, dear God.
Trivia: Earth 16 is said to be the designated Earth of the Young Justice cartoon.
Oh.
And in the comics, it was something slightly different, but similar to that. So yeah, just a little trivia for
I
you.
dig that.
Yeah. Did you find out what label the Tick is from?
I'm looking into it. As far as I can tell, it was initially independently published, but
Okay.
That figures as much.
publisher. Yeah, I'm not seeing any connection to DC.
Wow.
No, there isn't.
Could be mistaken. Okay, so the original publisher is New England Comics, which is, as it sounds, a comic outlet based out of New England.
Sounds very obscure.
Yeah, I think it's just completely independent. It's like showing similar, like the other search results that are coming up are Malibu Comics, Dark Horse, Image, like a lot of independent labels, you know.
I see.
So,
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to part two.
Part
two, things that I liked.
This is another short list, guys.
Yeah, I wrote it down as I was watching it, so the events are sort of in order. So the first thing I kind of liked was baby Jonathan Kent interrupting the Monitor's grand speech with his little babbling or crying.
Oh, I loved that. That was funny as anything to me. I was like,
yeah.
and then
the heroes have finally come together to.
And then, of all people, they give him to Mick Rory.
Yeah, seems like he'd be good fits, actually.
It's so great. And he's reading his freaking novel to him. I'm like, all right, you're awesome, and I love you.
Yeah, that was a good scene.
But what was best was, honestly, my favorite reference was when they go back to the ship. It goes like, "Hello, my name is Leonard. You're trespassing. How would you like to die?" I was like, oh my god, I can watch this show again now if Leonard's freaking Gideon.
Yeah, that was pretty fun.
Captain
Cold is back, but as a computer.
Yeah.
Does it make sense that he would make the computer if he was living there as his old partner's personality?
I mean, he did literally have both guns go like, you want to be burned? Or do you want to be frozen?
Yeah.
I was like...
It's charred or frozen. Yeah, other things I liked were the obvious musical cues to the Elfman Batman themes, both from the animated series and the film, that you hear when they reference the, of course,
Earth 99,
the Batman of the future
Batman.
Earth, that they go to Earth 99. I don't know if that's referencing the year Batman Beyond came out.
Yeah, that did come out in 99, maybe.
Yeah,
Wait,
it could be.
Hold up.
This
brings the question: was Kevin Conroy the voice actor to old Bruce in Batman Beyond then?
Yeah, he was.
So he was old...
Famously, yeah. So it would work. It could be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I will get into that when we talk about references. There is something that I think this Kevin Conroy is the future of that we have already seen in a different DC property, but
yeah, I know. I mean, I know where you're going with that. I mean, we can debunk that once we get to it. Yes. So I think it would make sense given the naming conventions of Earth 89, Earth 666,
Earth 666, my favorite Earth.
Yeah, 99. It would make sense that it's got something to do with Batman Beyond, and whatever.
Yep, I just looked at it. Yeah, Kevin Conroy. That might be the reference to Batman Beyond.
Yeah. Well, he did the voice of Batman in all the animated series and Arkham games, and he continues to do the voice in Justice League Action.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he also did the voice of a brief role as the Phantom Stranger in Batman Brave and the Bold. It was like this pivotal moment when Batman finds the killer of his parents, Joe Chill, and he has his throat in his hands. And it's like a big decision he has to make. Does he kill him or does he let him go? Because, he takes off his mask and shows Joe Chill who he is. He's like, I'm that boy whose parents you killed. And so the Phantom Stranger and the Spectre appear, kind of like the angel and demon on his shoulder. And the Phantom Stranger says, he's beaten. Let your devotion to justice temper your rage. And then Mark Hamill as the Spectre says, he killed your parents, ruined your life, become what you are meant to be, an agent of vengeance. Basically telling him to kill him. If he lives, Batman dies.
Might as well just put the Joker on that shoulder.
Yeah. Do it, Batsy!
Oh, Batsy!
Now you have the mind of a killer, and that mind is mine. Yeah, shut up.
Put a smile on his face. Forever.
Yeah. Okay. Other things I liked. What I liked about the Smallville scene was when Clark just takes the kryptonite rock and tosses it like a normal rock, because every single time kryptonite appeared in Smallville, he just instantly falls on the floor sick, like he's got norovirus or something. And now he's just like, nah. What'd you guys think of that scene?
I actually really loved it. Like, it's a shame we don't get to see Tom Welling in a more permanent capacity in the Arrowverse, but it's good to see what happened to
Wait, who did Tom Welling play in the Arrowverse?
Well, he plays Superman. He was Clark Kent in Smallville.
Yeah, that I'm aware of now, obviously, but I meant, like, in the Arrowverse, like, did he play any other
he's never appeared in the Arrowverse.
Okay.
I consider this scene in Earth 167 to be part of the Arrowverse in the sense that it aired during Crisis,
I will say I think it could be considered.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I really like the scene. I thought it was cool to see what his character's been up to after that time. I love that he's found peace. I think an ongoing trend with Superman that the only time he's ever actually given up his power is like to lead a normal life with Lois. So I don't know. Yeah. It was nice.
The fact that he gave up his powers was like totally consistent with how Tom Welling just it doesn't even. Not that he doesn't care, but how he never wanted to put on the suit in the first place. He even made them put like that stipulation in his contract. He never actually wanted to play Superman. It was just always about Clark to him. And, the fact that he gave it up, I was like, well, not surprised at all. I'm like, yeah, of course. He doesn't want to be Superman.
Do you think that was like a precondition for him appearing in the special that he wouldn't have to put on the suit?
Likely. And I love how, I don't remember the actor's name that plays the Superman and Supergirl. He goes like, I can do that with one hand.
Tyler Hoechlin.
Yeah, Tyler Hoechlin. I just love how...
Hoechlin? Is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah.
No, whatever his name is. I love how his just immediate first thing goes like, I can do that with one hand. I was like, okay, nobody cares, buddy. Chill.
No, you know why he does that? And this isn't my dislikes. They make him out to be so weak, so much of a weakling. Yeah. Like, he needs all this emotional support. He gets beat up by Brandon Routh's Superman. Even Lois, likes every other version of Superman
that
better.
Was my best
She's
part.
like, oh, he's so buff. And, the scene where she meets Ruth's Superman, she, loses herself in his eyes.
Oh, my God. I loved that. I was just like, wow, Lois, what is with you,
Hoechlin
man?
is definitely, the weakest Clark Kent.
Yeah. It's like you said, you feel like you could beat the shit out of him, and I agree.
and that was before I got into shape. Now I actually have muscle mass on me. I'm sure I could beat the shit out of him.
I think our wet paper bag's got a better shot. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I feel like I could go toe with him. Brandon Routh, absolutely not.
Yeah. No, Brandon Routh. Realistically, he seems like a really nice guy.
God,
really,
seems amazing.
But he's in ridiculously good shape. He could definitely, yeah.
He can knock out a couple of people.
There's no chance.
If he's angered. Hey, maybe he'll be the Hulk next.
Yeah, just going for the whole
the whole 9 yards. Yeah.
So the other thing I liked, obviously the biggest part of this crossover for me was seeing Brandon Routh back as the Superman, the continuation of the Christopher Reeve Superman, and the fact that they decided to make this version of him
the best.
Basically the actual Kingdom Come Superman. And his backstory is even the exact same thing with how Joker gasses the Daily Planet and everyone he loves dies.
Yeah, so wait, why did they just try to call him the reject of Gotham? I was just it made me think of a completely different character. Yeah, I didn't hit.
Well, who were you thinking of?
Honestly, I thought it was Batman. The way he was making it out to be, I was like, well, dang, man.
Yeah, some reject from Gotham thought we didn't cover him enough. I guess it's going to show that he doesn't even want to name the killer. How when mass shootings happen, sometimes they say, don't even share the name of the killer, share the name of the victims.
Because ultimately we tend to idolize and remember the people who did the crime over. Yeah,
I'm guessing it's something like that.
Fair enough.
I'm sure that's part of it. I think part of it is because anyone who actually thought about it for a second, what Batman character would actually gas Metropolis.
The only one that's capable of creating such a gas.
Yeah. It's almost like the Injustice storyline, but in a different direction. In both storylines, it's like a great tragedy suffered where Lois dies, except it was definitely worse than Injustice the way it happens.
Oh, yeah, no, that was way more tragic. Well, forcing him to kill her is, you don't get much worse than that.
Yeah. That's a very hard, comparison right there.
That's psychological torment, man, yeah.
Yeah, that's mean even for the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of people that want to kill Superman, I liked Kevin Conroy when they first walk in, and you just hear his voice. You just hear him, "Don't be so rude." And it's like, he's there. I'm like, yes, it's Batman, he's there.
I was just like, okay, talk to me.
Definitely one of the standout moments from the whole
Don't
film.
be so rude, Luke. And I'm like, yes,
I was like, who even is this guy?
And he walks down the stairs like, it's Batman. But he wasn't quite the Batman we know, was he? He was this weird, evil, grizzled one. Well, I don't know about necessarily evil, but I mean, kind of.
Well, to some extent. It begs the question as to, like, if Batman gave up his core principles, what would he even still be Batman? Would he just be a shell of his former self?
I like how he says, once I started killing, I killed another, and then another, and then it didn't stop.
I was just like, why?
Yes, the final solution.
Yeah, which realistically, if he ever did cross that barrier, that's probably what would happen.
Here's the thing, like, isn't it in the canon of Batman Beyond, like, he used a gun, like, once, and then he immediately, like, retired as Batman? Isn't that, like, right from the...
Yeah, that's literally
that canon?
First episode, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, so, he has, like, a heart attack, and he's forced to use a gun to just make the robber or whoever it was, kidnapper, just pause and run away.
Yeah. Well, and that sort of goes to support the fact that this isn't the Batman Beyond Batman.
Yeah, no, it's not at all.
Yeah, fair enough, but I was just like trying to, like, put pieces together to, like,
I do have a theory of who it might be.
Yeah, well, let's get into your theory right now, since we're probably not going to get to it.
Yeah, right.
So he says something very specific. He says a line. He says, "Life only makes sense if you force it to." And that is an exact quote that Ben Affleck, Batman, says when he's holding the kryptonite spear to Superman in Batman v Superman. So I'm thinking this is the version of that story where he succeeds and killed Superman.
That actually does make sense. Like an alternate universe version of BPS.
Yeah, like a dark multiverse version. You guys know about the dark multiverse?
Yeah, of course. I could definitely buy Kevin Conroy as being like an older Ben Affleck too. Like they look similarly enough.
To me, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, the motivation's there, obviously.
And I mean, I'll give it to Eden Glenn as well, aka Prince Friendzone, aka Joy the Anvil.
I mean, I literally just started watching Game of Thrones. I could not.
You're not ready. His name. You're not ready. Don't watch season 8 either. It's trash.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. So then, of course, this version of Batman dies of electrocution, like many other characters in the DC universe, for practically no reason whatsoever.
It's stupid. I'm like, okay, the man can get his back snapped in half by Bane, but electrocution will kill him.
Yeah.
What's with all the characters dying by electrocution?
DC, what's with that fetish, bro?
Of course, you had Wonder Girl in the Titans finale, which we were already talking about before. And you know what's funny? There was an old crossover in the 90s called DC versus Marvel, where it was like all these matchups they had that the outcome of which were entirely fan voted.
Oh,
so one of them was Wonder Woman against Storm.
And
I guess because
Storm.
X-Men, because X-Men was more popular at the time, of course, Storm got more votes. So it's not even a fight. It's just right at the beginning, she just shoots lightning at Wonder Woman, and then that's it.
What?
That incapacitates her.
Do people forget that literally Wonder Woman beat a god that literally needed the output of the Big Bang to defeat him?
Yeah, well, it didn't matter because they only had like 3 pages of paneling to do this fight, if that
so
many.
Stupid.
Yeah, don't think about it too much, or your brain might fall out.
Well, I think it did in Bloomsburg.
Yeah, and in the censored version of Return of the Joker, Joker's death was by electrocution.
Well, he's a normal person. That makes sense, at least.
Yeah, but it was kind of dumb. And then in like every episode of the Justice League cartoon, they're always getting electrocuted. It's like their biggest weakness.
Yes, but
it's
they're
so funny.
fine usually, like right after.
But still, it should do nothing to Superman or Wonder Woman. Green Lantern has a shield. Come on.
I mean, wait, what was the name of the dude that's always going, "Oh, Neptune's beard"? The fish dude.
Aquaman? Aqualad?
No, not Aquaman.
Aquaman?
The actual fish
Aqualad?
dude.
Oh, what's the guy's name?
The one that started like.
Yeah, no, I know the guy. I can't think of his name. Jesus, Lagan, yeah, that friggin' weirdo. I seen him get electrocuted like 3 times and he was fine. Yeah, Well, I mean, his physiology is also probably different from like Aquaman or Aqualad, just being part.
Yeah, but apparently they can also make Atlanteans bullet. Like, they got rid of that.
Yeah, Atlanteans are supposed to be bulletproof. They're in the deep. They could withstand this huge amount of water pressure. And then, Aqualad just dies to a bullet. Titans. Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure. Okay.
Hey, DC, did you guys forget that you made Aquaman take a bazooka to the chest and nothing happened? Yeah, great writing.
Honestly, one of the most badass things about Aquaman the movie, which I love, and I think you were sort of just referencing it there, is the fact, like this one opening scene where he's fighting against Black Manta for the first time. Yeah. And he's like taking all these shots.
His dad first, really.
Yeah, but oh my god, I love that fucking scene.
Oh my god, that was an amazing scene.
You can't not like Jason Momoa.
No, he's an incredible cast.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
He's great.
It's possible to not like Jason Momoa.
Yeah, you ever seen the picture of him walking around with his bodyguards?
Oh my god.
He's like a foot taller than both of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's way bigger than both of them.
Yeah, it's like, wwhy even need bodyguards at that point, you know?
I'm just feeling like, dude, you are in sea. You were on Frontier. You're Aquaman. Who's going to mess with you? Like,
I don't know. You never know.
This is true.
And the last thing I didn't like about part 2 was that Kate Kane is the paragon of courage when she's done like nothing to earn that title, and there's a universe of infinite other Batmans, infinite other Wonder Womans, infinite other literally anyone else. Like, I understand that they're trying to go for the stars of the show being all the paragons, which I get it, but still.
Yeah, the title's not exactly earned.
It's not.
Yeah, I mean, just basically.
Jeez, might as well give it to Jason Todd.
And that's something we didn't even talk about with part 1, how they completely fucked up the Batwoman timeline.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because she was like...
They really just screw it up so bad.
She was presumably well into her Batwoman career in Elseworlds.
And they directly reference the fact that she was a pivotal part of Elseworlds at that, like, when they're recruiting her.
Oh, my head!
And, when they recruit her in this scene, she's actually fighting Alice's goons. Presumably, she hasn't been fighting Alice's goons since, like, for a year plus, you know?
I'm guessing Alice is the name of her sister. Like, we're trying to make sense of this at all, either.
Yeah, it just makes absolutely no sense based on the timeline they laid out a year ago. So, whatever.
All right, let's get into the references from part 2. References in part 2. So when they go to get the Wave Rider with the Mick Rory who was in it, that was Earth 74, where you see Captain Cold is Gideon.
So the only one that made it into the crossover. Awesome.
Yeah. There's a name drop that the Monitor drops. He mentions a tome of the Guardians. Now, we know that there's Guardians in the DC universe, and we know that they do have a book that has a knowledge of, like, everything. So was that a Green Lantern reference? I think it was. Because we're gonna see the Green Lantern in the next part, aren't we? I don't know. Why am I talking like Jerry Seinfeld?
I hope it's Hal Jordan.
No, it's going to be John Diggle. He's going to be John Stewart. Remember, Earth 90 Flash said, "Hey, John, you're not wearing your ring."
Stewart. That would actually be kind of cool.
All right, I'm sorry, I didn't mean Hal Jordan. I did actually mean John Stewart. So thank you for correcting me, John. Yeah. But oh my god, that'd be great. And when I saw Wesley Shipp say that was a good gut-busting moment for me.
Yeah. So I think Tome of the Guardians was a definite hint. I searched it on Google, but I couldn't find any actual relation to a comic precedent, but I think they're winking at us there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a few in references we're missing here. It wouldn't shock me in the slightest if that's what they were going for.
Yeah, so then we had Earth 99, like I said, was with Batman of the Future, the year Batman Beyond came out. One thing I also noticed in the intro to the episode, like when they showed the title Crisis, the music sounded a lot like the theme in Man of Steel when he's fighting Zod. Like, the dun 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 dun, that part.
Yeah. The other thing that sort of supports the whole BVS theory, which I'm just thinking about it now, like as I'm reading through your notes here.
Yeah.
There's the fact that he directly references the fact that he's like this invader from this foreign world, which was the main argument that Ben Affleck's Batman came up with in BVS for like not liking Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And when you approach it from that perspective, like this creature of immense power from a world you know nothing about, you would probably be a little bit hesitant to trust that person, you know?
Well, when anybody, and I mean literally anybody...
Even though he's saving thousands of lives.
Well, I mean, keep in mind, at that point in the BVS universe, Superman's real only claim to fame was, defending the world against Zod. If you're only seeing the aftermath of it, you're just seeing the mass devastation, the loss of lives, and Superman apparently not even taking responsibility for those actions.
Yeah, but I mean, they go through that whole montage in the start of the movie where he's like helping and saving all these people. But I guess Bruce just sees him as a false god or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the next Earth we have is 75. And I couldn't really find any comic book connections, but that's where you see Clark and Lois searching around for Superman, and then they see him up on the screen, and the way that he's laying there, and the way that version of Lois is, sitting over him, is the exact picture of when he's dead in the death of Superman from the comics.
Yeah, I literally saw that. I'm like, that is the reference right there. I was just like, oh man.
Yeah. And then we had Earth 167, where they have Smallville. Trivia, the Earth 167 in DC Comics was referred to as an imaginary story version, where you had Lex Luthor as Superman, and Clark Kent was Batman.
Yeah, it's weird.
Oh my god, that's awful.
Yeah, whatever.
That's so stupid.
We have Earth 96, which is where they find the Brandon Routh Superman. And in the comics, Earth 96 was a designation given to an alternate timeline version of Earth 22. Earth 22 was the main Earth where the Kingdom Come story happens, which, as you know, is the version of Superman that they were taking from. Earth 96 was the Earth of they made a continuation story of Kingdom Come, but then they wanted to retcon it and say it didn't happen so they could continue it a different way. And that concept of making alternate timeline versions of alternate Earths is called hypertime, in which there are pocket timelines of pocket universes where things happen that they wanted to rewrite, and my head is hurting.
My head is already trying to split itself in half. What?
And the last reference was Earth 18, where you see Jonah Hex, where they find the Lazarus Pit.
I was so confused, but I was just like, wait, what?
Yeah, I vaguely remember them introducing Jonah Hex in Legends of Tomorrow.
They did it several times. They fought by each other's sides several times.
So, I mean, obviously...
And Sarah Lance was just like, what? Random cowboy, I'm going to stab him in the face.
Well, you think about it, it stands to reason that if there's an infinite number of universes, there's an infinite number of Jonah Hexes. And I know we're sort of divided on whether or not there's an infinite amount of universes in the DC multiverse.
Yeah, well, that Jonah Hex, interestingly enough, obviously he knew about the Lazarus Pit, so that wasn't the 1800s that he was living in. And in the comics version of Earth 18, the description of it, I will read out loud, is as follows. Earth 18 is an Earth frozen by the time trapper in the 19th century technologically and culturally. The world pushed forward despite these limitations. I don't know why I can't talk today. Still inventing means of air travel and even a telegraph internet, and is protected by the frontier champions known as the Justice Riders.
Oh, dear God.
So basically it's...
Justice the Riders, so they're cowboys.
Yeah, it's Cowboy Justice League.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah, I mean...
Was that only aired in Texas?
Realistically, I don't know if there's a present-day Jonah Hex that could exist outside of this sort of framework, so... whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have loved it if that Hex was played by Brolin, because he did that in an actual movie about Jonah Hex.
Yeah, does anyone remember that?
Budget for Brolin.
That would have been great.
If they don't have the budget for good CGI, they don't have the budget for Brolin.
Yeah. Let's be real. The guy's Thanos and Cable.
Yeah. So let's go through part 3 really quick, because we're coming up on an hour. I don't know how we talked for an hour about this already. We're at 15 minutes. All right, so part 3, the thing I liked the most was, of course... 90s Flash making the ultimate sacrifice. Always ride with the lightning, son.
I actually the most feels of that entire crossover.
Yeah, it was great. It made me
every crossover that gave me the most feels.
It really made me want to rewatch the original Flash series. I have it on DVD.
I never watched
somewhere,
it in general.
So, yeah, it's a great series from what I remember.
Oh my god! Yeah. Wow.
Obviously, I'm sure it doesn't fully hold up, but I remember loving it when I originally watched it.
I mean, some has to hold up, some obviously not, just because of the times, you'd think,
Yeah, no, there's going to be some. Yeah.
I especially liked when he said, "I'm temporarily stealing your speed. When you get to be a speedster as long as I have, you'll learn a few tricks." Chills, man. He could probably beat this universe's Reverse Flash.
I was just like, yo, Zoom, calm yourself down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, give me the Flash's speed. Dude, he would have beaten Zoom.
Yeah, he probably would have.
Chills,
oh my god, yeah, he would have kicked his ass.
Well, you think about it, the only reason Barry had so much trouble is because at that point, he was only the Flash for about a year.
I mean, he was just, already, he had it, determined in his mind. I mean, that Wally was going to save No, I'm thinking of Savitar. I'm going to stop talking.
Yeah. Well, these seasons do start to merge together after a while.
What's funny is this Barry, obviously, is as old as Jay Garrick from the Earth 3 was, but he isn't slowing down like Jay Garrick is. Yeah, so other stuff. Oh yeah, and that flashback scene where you see him with the doctor,
his wife, or something.
Yeah, who also was in the Flash as another lab coat type character. Yeah, that was really cool that they actually had a flashback.
I liked that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That was very well transitioned and everything.
Yeah, I feel like even if you haven't seen the original Flash series, it was a good homage. It does. You do sort of get the sense that there is more of an emotional weight here, that he is actually making a legitimate sacrifice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just like in the comics, he stops the antimatter cannon by running himself into oblivion.
Which, how does that make sense? We don't know.
He reverses the polarity by running the other direction on the treadmill.
And somehow that destroys him.
What?
Oh god. That doesn't really make my head hurt, it just makes me laugh.
I just have to ask questions. I'm just like, what, how, why?
It does sort of beg the question if that was, the Monitor's actual vision of our Barry dying, or if that was just, a stepping stone for him.
Well, he is named Barry Allen.
Yeah, and so... I mean, the way he phrased it was, Barry Allen must die, the Flash must die, but
there's thanks to their multiverse, there's
that's probably what they're
infinite number of Flashes.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the whole Endgame thing where they can just pull people from any timeline.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, they let two Hulks exist in the same movie.
You know what?
Apparently.
I bet when Doctor Strange and the funny falutin multiverse, or whatever it's called, is going to come out, they're going to say they didn't actually time travel, but they actually just jumped to other parallel Earths.
Well, at least my understanding of how time travel worked in Endgame, and yeah, it's first of all, it's called the Multiverse of Madness, is the next Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah. Wow, really?
Yeah. Which actually it sounds pretty cool. Apparently, Elizabeth Olsen's supposed to have a pretty prominent role in it as Scarlet Witch.
Well, I'm excited to see that if it's still Benedict.
Yeah, no, he's still gonna be in the role.
Thank God.
But so at least my understanding of how time travel worked is that there's an infinite number of identical timelines. And they were traveling just to whatever the next parallel timeline was, and just to a different point in time within that timeline. So they weren't actually moving to the past. Their future is the past of this timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, it is the multiverse, though, for argument's sake.
Oh, boy. Why did this get so scientific?
I don't know. The last thing I liked was when they bring Black Lightning in and he has that deep conversation with Barry.
That was
have that kind of heart-to-heart. Yeah, it was pretty good.
It feels like they really didn't need to bring him in, aside from the fact that they're just trying to cram as many heroes into this thing as possible.
Yeah, and one of the dislikes...
They really are, yeah.
One of the dislikes I have is how he's kind of just like a glorified pair of jumper cables for all that he does in the episode.
They literally made him an oversized pair of jumper cables the way Monster used him and all, reality.
Yeah, it's like, we need you to draw power from that. I feel like they could have written just the, Flash doing it by running around in circles or something. I don't know.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. One of my main dislikes was this other Paragon that nobody knew about, totally new character introduced out of nowhere.
Well, do you know who the character is?
I know who the character is.
Okay.
But in the context of the shows, nobody knows who he is.
Yeah.
So why is this guy, Ryan Choi, a Paragon when he's... anyone knows up to this point? How does that make sense that you try to place this artificial importance on a totally new character?
Because we need the paragon of humanity, so it's probably like a man that's in every... That was so stupid. I have no idea.
I'm almost thinking they're gonna sacrifice Ray Palmer at some point. Like this guy... So Ryan Choi is the next version of the Atom. He's the successor to Ray Palmer in the comics.
Oh, really?
And he's the one you see in Injustice 2, which I was mad about because I wanted my boy Ray.
Yeah, so I think they might be getting at that.
I was not aware of that.
I think they might be getting at that. I also don't think they're going to get rid of Brandon Ruth like that.
So you think they're going to kill Ray Palmer and then for some reason keep him as Superman?
No, they're not going to kill him. Because he said before that, even though his character is being written off Legends, it'll still be that he can come back in the future.
Right. So it's possible that he's like rejoining the Legends or he's retiring and yeah.
Yeah, I think they're setting this up so Ryan Choi could replace Ray on the Legends series.
Which would be... I don't know. I feel like Ray Palmer is such an important part of the team. It would be impossible.
He really is.
He should have been the Paragon.
Like he's the best character.
Come on.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't make him that. Well, I guess that wouldn't have made as much sense with...
Here's the thing. I feel like him and Mick Rory just made the show better, always.
Other dislikes, Jim Corrigan... This Spectre guy, he just kind of comes in out of nowhere. He's like, oh, hey, guys, by the way, my name is Jim Corrigan, and I got something I need to do for the plot.
Yeah,
so
I sort of got the sense that there was some reference to an arrow. Obviously, I don't watch the show.
I don't think so. He's never appeared before.
Okay, well, that just seemed random to me.
I don't know who that guy is at all.
Well, it's Spectre, but yeah.
Yeah, I think he's the most well-known host of Spectre outside of Hal Jordan, who became Spectre after he died after being the villain Parallax, which... happened after Coast City was destroyed in the Death of Superman arc when the cyborg Superman went crazy and annihilated a bunch of places with nukes, and my head is starting to hurt.
Well, I think Hal Jordan's the more well-known character, but Jim Corrigan is definitely more well-known as the Spectre than Hal Jordan ever was.
Yeah, but now Oliver Queen is going to be Spectre, which I think is cool.
That's interesting. That's obviously how they're going to bring him back. The one other thing we didn't mention about Part 3 was the Lucifer of it all, Earth 666.
Oh my god, that was my favorite part, personally.
Yeah. I know...
Folks, let me tell you, I love that man.
Yeah, I mean, you actually watched the show, right, Jack?
Oh my god, it's a fantastic show. Yeah. It's basically like NCIS with, Hell and Angels. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
See, I feel like I could get into that. I knew just from, I think months ago we talked about it on the podcast, how there was some mention of him, being in the thing. I didn't fully know he was a DC property, when they announced that show on Fox.
Oh, I had no idea either. Apparently, the actor who plays Lucifer, Tom Ellis, who is, by the way, the best Lucifer ever. And anyway, shape, form can be my devil any day. No kidding. No, I'm kidding, but so the actor himself, Tom Ellis, apparently hinted at it, and unfortunately, pulled a Tom Holland and released a spoiler too early or something. That's what happened recently in any of his news, in regard to the show coming up with his last season. Because in canon, he's actually back in Hell right now.
Yeah, I like how they obviously established that he had a prior relationship with, or your connection with Constantine. It's
which would make sense.
Yeah. I was just he goes well, I do owe you for bringing me mice. I was like, oh my god, yes, I get it now.
Oh yeah, one thing, but back to the Jim Corrigan thing real quick. So Constantine, when he appears, he says, when the guy says his name is Jim Corrigan, he says, not the one I know. Now, that's what Constantine says, because on the show Constantine, which ran for 13 episodes, they did have an appearance of that character, and of course, it was a different actor.
Yeah. But, I only saw half of the series.
So, are they suggesting that this show, or that show, was in this Arrowverse?
Yeah, no, I thought that was pretty clear.
Which would mean that which would mean that this Jim Corrigan is from a different Earth, I guess?
Yeah, it stands to reason.
My head? All right. Other things I didn't like that didn't make sense. Where the hell was Martian Manhunter? What was he doing? Why does he appear in the end and then do nothing again? And why does he not make his Martian form appear?
Why is he the paragon of honor if he doesn't do anything?
Yeah. Well, he's supposed to be a paragon, but like they barely talk about him.
He's the paragon of honor, and he doesn't do anything.
Well, that makes me think he's going to have a more prominent role in parts 4 and 5. We'll see.
He better.
Why does he never appear in his Martian form?
Yeah. Well, what did you guys think about Lex Luthor throughout the whole thing? Because we really didn't talk about him too much.
I hate that he replaces the best Superman in the end.
It sucks, but it's like, it's very...
It's the stupidest cliffhanger I've ever seen.
Disappointed.
Like, why?
Disappointed.
He goes, like, and rips out a piece of paper, he put Lex Luthor, as if we couldn't tell already that he replaced Superman as the paragon of truth.
Yeah. Well,
thank you, audience.
I could have done well.
I mean, editors.
I mean, it was a fine sight gag. I will say it's very in character for him. It doesn't shock me in the slightest. I think they're getting at this might have been the Monitor's plan all along.
Yeah,
just having included him.
Everyone has their part to play.
Because obviously he goes.
Well, at
to
least he's dead.
Yeah.
He annoyed the crap out of me.
Yeah. Well, I think
he's definitely not going to stay dead.
Here's the thing. I think everyone.
Sadly, he's not.
I think everyone who was annihilated is going to come back in part 5, and they're going to have a grand battle.
Yeah.
That's definitely what's going to happen.
Cue the opening circles to every dimension ever, just like they did it at the end of the end game, which is what they're going to do for DC.
Bum, bum. Bum, bum. Here they come.
Awesome!
Yeah. Other things that did not make sense. So, Earth 90 Flash says that the antimatter cannon has a failsafe where if he were to get off of it, that the rest of the remaining Earths would be instantly annihilated. Now, here's the thing. The purpose of the antimatter wave cannon is to annihilate all the Earths. So how could the failsafe be to annihilate all the Earths but faster?
Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense.
Huh?
I mean, obviously it makes sense from a storytelling perspective that they want him to, stay on this thing, and he has to actually explain it to whatever. It is what it is.
And then at the very end, we see Pariah Welds, who is really just doing nothing. He's just standing there on the sidelines. He teleports all the Paragons to the vanishing point, which is kind of like the pocket safe space I talked about in the comics.
Right.
Why didn't he just teleport everyone who was in the room?
Because lazy writing. Yet again.
Yes. Thank you.
No, it doesn't make much sense. I mean...
No, literally, I was just like, why
also,
wouldn't you send the Kryptonians who are literally gods?
Well, so here's my theory, right? They do explain, and they touch upon briefly, that his whole power set as Pariah, he can really only do what the Anti-Monitor wants him to do. His power set is apparently limited.
Or lets him, I guess.
Yeah. So it's possible that that's part of the Anti-Monitor's plan, just to get these guys to a separate universe.
Why wouldn't it be just to annihilate them, though?
I have no idea. Maybe he can't annihilate them because they're Paragons, which would be kind of dumb. But I don't know. I haven't really thought too thoroughly about it, but I have a feeling that there's more to it than we're seeing at this point. That's probably going to become clear.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just another plot hole. So.
Yeah. And references really fast because this is a short list. You had Earth 203, Neo Gotham, where you see the Huntress from the Birds of Prey TV series. That was in 2003, lasted for a short one season. Earth 666, like we said, Lucifer. Earth 90, 90's Flash. And yeah, that was it. That was all the references there. So I gotta say, all in all, the first 3 parts, not as exciting or overwhelming as I thought. But I think they're saving a lot of that for the climax, or at least I hope.
What, the climax didn't already happen?
No, there's going to be a part 4 and 5 on January 14th.
Yeah, I know. I'm joking.
Okay.
Because DC doesn't know how to finish.
Well, we're over an hour at this point, so I think we've pretty much said everything we want to say.
I believe we divulged all of our nonsense.
Yes.
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Utterly Nonsense Podcast. If you're a first-time listener, thanks for sticking around this long. You can find all of our social media and podcast platforms on Linktree. That's linktr.ee/. What is it? tr.ee/utterly nonsense, linktree/utterly nonsense, if that makes it easier.
Yeah, and I think our next episode maybe will be either talking about Star Wars, unless we just do a review video on that, or another idea I had where we talk about our favorite movies of not just this year, but the entire damn decade, because the decade's ending, people.
Yeah. That could be a good New Year's one, yeah.
1980 was 40 years ago. Wrap your head around that.
Say what?
Well, none of us were born then, so...
No, but the 80s always kind of seem close because we're always talking about stuff, at least partially related, that was from the 80s, and they're always trying to bring that stuff back. Like, Terminator, Predator, Alien, all these properties. RoboCop's still coming back. Stranger Things is 80s inspired.
Well, old sport, it's about to be the roaring 20s all over again.
Oh no.
Yes, it is.
What does that mean for the 30s? I don't want another world war.
Yeah, it's probably gonna happen.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Given the state of geopolitical politics at this point, it's probably gonna happen.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for always supporting us, and we always have a blast doing this, so hopefully you'll be joining us once again for our last podcast of 2019.
Yep, of the decade.
This decade.
And with that being said, 8-bit music, play us out.
Yes, this Christmas music.